We've heard horror stories about people who've lived abroad for 6 months and then suddenly they were locked out of their bank account. Man, that would just freak me out. If you don't want that to happen to you and you want to keep your money access while you're traveling or living abroad, this is the video for you. But first, let's introduce ourselves. My name's Jice.
Hi, I'm Lynne.
Welcome to our channel,
GenX Quench.
And again, today we're going to cover the 6 steps you need to take to keep access to your American bank account and your money.
That's right. Before we jump into it, if you're new here, we want to give you a hearty welcome. And if you've been on our channel before, welcome back. As always, we are trying to grow this channel and we do appreciate your likes, your shares, and most of all, your subscribes. So don't forget, stop what you're doing right now and hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. So let's jump into it. As Jice mentioned, we are going to use this video to talk about 6 steps you can take to make sure that you protect your money here in the US while you're traveling abroad. And the first one is your address, your US address. Now there's 2 key distinctions. A mailing address is where you receive your mail, but a domicile is basically your legal permanent residence. And that's what you need, is to make sure that you have a domicile. And that is most important for tax purposes, for credit cards, for investment accounts. When you are traveling, you cannot use a P.O. box. You cannot use necessarily those mail services. So there's 2 key options to use for a U.S. address while you're traveling abroad. Option number 1 is a friend or a family member. So if you don't have a physical brick and mortar home in the US, then maybe there is someone in your family that you can use to have as your address. You officially move there and you receive they will receive your mail for you,
right,
your packages for you. So for someone like me and Jice, I have a sister that would be willing to do that. His parents, we have options, we have friends. It's kind of an ask because that person's going to be receiving your mail. They have to open it or scan it or do all of those kind of things. And so it has to be somebody that you really trust that will keep up and will follow up with you and be able to forward things when they need to be forwarded. The second option is a domicile service. And those are located probably all over the country in different states. But if you're going to pick one, you want to be smart about where you pick. And the top 3 states that people usually choose for domicile, as far as RVers, digital nomads, people that don't necessarily reside in the US full time, are Texas, Florida, and South Dakota. All 3 of those states, none of them have state income tax, and they're easy to set up. So those are the recommendations as far as those 3 states. But as always, anything dealing with money or legalities, definitely do your own due diligence, your own research, and check with a financial or legal professional.
Yep, and exactly. You definitely going to want to check a professional. And if your address obviously changes in this particular process, guess what? You're going to need a new driver's license. So step number 2 is, once you have your new address set up, either at your friend's or your relative's house or a domicile address that's set up for you, that's brick and mortar, then you're going to want to get your new driver's license, which will typically last, I think, 7 years, at least in North Carolina. That's how long they last. So as you're traveling the world, you've got the kind of that 7-year period where you don't have to come back to the U.S. to renew it. And some of those domicile services can renew remotely for you. So just another key there. And then a bonus tip, I would also say, if you intend to drive while you're abroad, over 150 countries require that you have an international driver's permit. So there are services that also help with that. So you can get that before you leave as well. And then one more I'll throw in, you may want to get your voter's registration card with your new address too in your new state. So go ahead and get that now as well. Hopefully we'll be allowed to vote remotely in the future, but as of right now we can. So go ahead and do that as well.
Yeah, that's a good tip as far as voter's registration. And that's also key based on that whole Florida, Texas, South Dakota. When you change your address, that's also going to affect your voting precinct and the elections that you will be able to vote in. The next step is your U.S. phone number. So always recommend that you need to keep a U.S. phone number, and banks require that for two-factor authentication.
Yes.
Right, banks require that for two-factor authentication. Foreign numbers and voice over internet protocols like Google Voice, they will not work for two-factor authentication. So, you can, if this is not going to be the number that you're always using, but you need to keep it, you can have the option of a low-cost carrier. We see those ads all the time as far as plans that are $15 a month or $20 a month. It's probably not going to be your main phone that you may use all the time, but you have it to make sure it's that US number. Or you can go with more of a premium plan, a plan that costs more money, that may have more international capabilities built in, eSIMs, that type of thing. But the bottom line is, even though you're traveling remotely, you may pick up a phone locally where you are, you might get a SIM card, eSIM. Jice is more the expert in how all that works. You definitely need to make sure that you maintain a US phone number and you have a phone, so that when you are doing banking or any other financial transactions, you can do those smoothly no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, and if you change your American phone number before you go, let your banks know what that new number is, because when they do that two-factor authentication, they're gonna send that to that whatever number you have on record. So if you change and don't update them, you're not gonna have any luck, and you'll be locked out of your account.
And those are things that you really should do on U.S. soil, especially if you're porting a number, so that if you are changing carriers with the number that you have or that type of thing, those things, it's best and easiest if you do that before you go overseas.
Right. And then next we'll go into the next step. You're going to want to update your banking and financial records. So you would need to let your bank know travel notices. Hey, I'm going to be kind of long-term traveling. I'm still keeping my U.S. residence. I'll be back and forth, but here are the countries I'm going to, here are the dates, so they are aware. They don't think it's a scam or something. If somebody's using your credit card or your debit cards associated with the bank, they have the alerts there, they're good there. And because if you actually tell the bank, hey, I'm living abroad now, I no longer live in the U.S., they will either severely restrict your account or they will close it altogether, and you don't want to lose access to your American bank account. So again, just kind of play it as a, hey, I'm slow traveling, I'll be back. Just wanted to let you know I'm out of the country for a little while. So that's the way you should do that. And for those of you who do have a Charles Schwab account, if you actually tell them you're moving abroad, they will basically change your account from a domestic to a international account, and then that will restrict what trades you could do with stocks that you have on through that account too, because they can do banking as well as trading, stock trade. So again, just another heads up there. And then lastly, another tip: internationally, you're going to want, or domestically, you're going to want to set up your virtual wallet. So like for me, I have an iPhone, so I have the Apple Wallet. So set up all your cards ahead of time on domestic soil. Load them on your whatever virtual wallet you have.
Yeah, Google, Apple, whatever that makes it easy to get on your phone.
Yeah, so you have an alternative, a built-in redundancy that if you lose a card or ATM abroad eats your card, you still have access to that account and security, so you can turn that card off if you need to. So another tip there.
Yep, and another thing is all of this is really the final kind of item on that checklist is peace of mind. So doing all of these steps before you leave the country and making sure that your financial house is in order as far as access to your money, so you're not locked out. It's the peace of mind that will carry you far. The other thing, because the one thing you don't want is to be on the other side of the world and then physically have to buy a plane ticket, come back just to do one transaction, to take a picture, to get an ID card, to change an address and that type of thing, because a lot of these things are not things that can easily be done on the other side of the world. You need to do them in person, or you need to be on US soil. So taking the time to make sure that you have access to your money, that people have access to you, that any kind of business transactions you need to handle no matter where you are is easy and seamless. This is worth a lot of peace of to mind further down the line. And for a lot of this stuff, it's kind of set it and forget it. Once you do it, it's done, and outside of a driver's license renewal or things like that, you really don't have to worry about it, and you really won't have to run back to the US, which could be thousands of dollars to do that just to transact one simple piece of business that could have been handled before you left.
Yeah, I keep thinking about one of the famous lines from the movie Friday. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. So I don't be stressed out, emotional, halfway across the world because I can't access my money. So therefore, take these steps. And let's just sum it up. Let's go over the steps one more time.
Right. So
First one, secure your residential address. So whether it's a physical address to a friend or relative or a domicile service.
Right. Then next, renew your driver's license, get an international driving permit if you are going to be driving in other countries.
And your voter's registration.
And your voter's registration card.
Then set up your U.S. phone plan and port your number to the appropriate service before leaving.
Yep. Set up travel notices on all bank accounts and credit cards. Let them know that you will be traveling for a bit.
Let your frame your travels as long-term travel and not that you're leaving the country permanently.
Yep. And then add any physical cards to your Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, just for a redundancy and a backup if something happens to the physical card while you're traveling.
Well, that about sums it up.
Yes, hopefully this has been helpful. Some tips that maybe you already knew about, maybe some that you hadn't thought about. Please let us know in the comments if this was helpful or anything that we missed or anything that you would add. And with that,
that is it. We'll wrap up, and thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you for watching. Again, always don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And we appreciate you for being here, and we'll see you on the next GenX Quench video.
Adios.
Adios. Bye-bye.